Hey, and welcome to a new tutorial. This time, I want to introduce you a really cool workflow on creating amazing characters, give them animations, and play those animations in CRYENGINE for your cutscene sequences, NPCs, or playable characters. We are going to use two software tools for our mission, provided by our friends at Reallusion. First one is the Character Creator tool, which is a solution for designers to build and create impressive characters with a lot of customization options. The second one is iClone, easy to use software to work on your animations and also create facial animations with a cool twist, which I'll show you later on. First of all, let me explain what we're actually seeing. We have four main components here. Our tools tab here, where we can open and save projects, move and rotate our character. Then we have the Content tab, with all of the assets we need: claws, morphs, poses and light setups. On the right, we have the Modify tab, where we modify whatever we are creating. We modify the skin muscles on our character, we edit the position, and a lot of other things. And the last but not least is the viewport. By knowing that, we also need to know what we want to achieve. We want to create a high quality looking character, which we can use to animate and use in our project. So let's start right away. We start with the base character as you see. We can either start changing the morphing base to what we want to have, we can pick a texture for the skin and also add a hairstyle, or we can pick a sample character. For this tutorial, we should do this. We're gonna use an example character. If you follow me along with this tutorial, the choice of a character is not that important. So please feel free to choose to your heart's desire. He looks pretty cool. Let's call him Jimmy. Jimmy is a handsome young man. But if that is not enough for you, you always can change every and each aspect of his body and face features. You can do it by hand and select those features by first double-clicking on Jimmy and then go into his facial features, for example. Click on the cheeks, in this case with the right mouse button, and move your mouse around. If you want to have a more structured way, move over to the Modify tab and click on Morphs. Oh boy, a lot of options to go with. Full body, arms, hands, chest, eyes, cheeks, nose morphs. We can go into this and modify with a high level of detail. Jimmy already has some really nice skin shader going on for himself. And he also has some clothes on. But I want to switch a few things. I don't like the jacket he's wearing, so I'm gonna double click on it and press delete on my keyboard. I don't like the jeans and those shoes either. Let's give him something interesting for this tutorial. I will choose this jeans and this shoes for a specific reason. It also may be quite cold outside, so I'm gonna give him a jacket. Why the shoes? As we can see, the jeans don't quite fit into the shoes. We need to change that by editing the actual mesh. Double click on the jeans. And here in the Modify tab, we choose to edit mesh. The process here is quite intuitive. I'm choosing either vertex, faces, or elements. I'm gonna stick with vertex, and I like to pick the soft selection. And I would also use a smaller radius. We need to choose the parts that are outside the shoes. We have to shove them back, right? So click in any area here. And now move the mesh back inside the shoe. hide it well so we don't see any additional faces outside of the shoe. Don't worry, it may sound complicated, but it's really not. And quick tip, you can rotate your camera around the character holding down the right mouse button and Alt. I'm speeding up the process here. We have to wait a few seconds until I'm finished. Okay, we're done. We can adjust every imaginable part of the body, and we can also smooth the mesh if we want to have our character look a bit smoother. We can smooth the body and everything our character has on it, but this comes with the price of performance. I recommend to use it, but not on characters appearing in your actual gameplay. We can also edit the pose, or even before adding the pose, we should set a really cool one in the content tab over here. Follow me and of course choose a pose you feel cool with. So back to the pose editor. Here in this example, what you're seeing is I'm just changing the direction he's looking at and also the distance between his arms. And I'm also adding some facial elements. I want him to look angry. Well, not that angry. So why are we changing the pose, you might ask yourself? Usually you would do it to preview some cool poses and looks your character could have. But we are looking for close pieces that are clipping with the body or other objects. If you find that little piece, you can double click on that particular close piece, and in the modifier tab, you click on conform and simply calculate the collision. There is a lot that you can achieve with the character creator, a lot which I won't be able to cover here, but Reallusion provides a manual and many online tutorials to help you learn, linked in the description below. There's also quite a complex way to improve the quality, and not only improving but adding additional features to some of the class. Let's move over to the Modify tab and navigate to the Appearance section. As you can see, we have some drop-down menus here. Keep in mind that some objects are not modifiable, but our jeans, for example, are. Click on the jeans, activate the Appearance editor. First thing we should do is improve the texture resolution. 2K is quite enough and the results are visible right away. Further down the menu, we'll see a lot of customization options. A lot. So I won't be able to cover those. But yeah, as you can see, the range of customization is impressive. So when you're done, click Unload the Appearance editor to close this feature and save some memory usage. And the last point to mention, the material section we have over here. By double-clicking on any surface on Jimmy, we get a material list, which then we can configure, change textures, changing color, and modify the shaders. We can see all the different maps here, which we will need later on, especially the opacity and the roughness map, for example. If you want to edit any of those textures, click on a texture with the right mouse button and click Launch Texture. Your texture should be opened in Photoshop now. If not, Character Creator will ask you to specify a software to open those textures. Okay, we created a character, deleted and added some of Jimmy's clothes, and did a few adjustments like editing the mesh of the jeans and improving some textures on Jimmy. Our character seems to be ready as well. Let's send him to iClone. And again, don't close the Character Creator yet, we will need it later. And here again, I would like to explain what we are seeing here. It's the same layout like in a Character Creator, but additionally, we have a timeline with our project inside it, which is quite important. So what do we want to achieve with the help of this software? I will explain and show how to assign animation to Jimmy, like idle, walking and talking, for example, creating or more generating facial animations, and then of course export everything to CRYENGINE. Let's click on Jimmy first. There are two ways to assign a base animation now. First one is to head over to the animation selection in the Content tab. You have plenty of animations to choose from. I won't go into detail here, play around for yourself. The second way to assign a base animation is to head over to the animation selection in the modifier tab, click on the motion puppet. Select any of the motions you see or like. I, for example, like this one. We can now either preview it by clicking this button and then pressing space, or directly click on record and then pressing space. Okay, cool, we have a base motion, and I think Jimmy could use some facial animations, don't you think? Let's click on create a script. We can now choose our voice source. Either record a voice line, we can upload an audio file or a script file using the recording software. We'll focus on the TTS. So we are going to write a script and iClone will generate facial animations out of it, which is, to be honest, quite amazing. Let's type in some sentences and pre-hear it, or click OK to let the software do its job.
Hey guys. What's up? What are you up to? Doing programming and stuff? Follow me on Twitter, by the way.
This is pretty cool, right? Okay, we have our animations, we have our facial animations. Over here at File, we can export our character to FBX, exactly what we need. Target tool preset should be 3ds, for example. 30 FPS should be fine. We will take the whole range of what we have and we'll include 4K textures and convert the image automatically to TIFF. But since the engine requires TIFF files with only one F, don't ask me why, you can export the textures in any format you like. We'll delete them later anyways. Also deselect, delete unused morphs and delete hidden mesh. This should technically save you some resources, but CRYENGINE has a bug currently, which does not let you import the character if you have those options selected. But as you guys know, we're working on it. Export. We're done with iClone now. You can add multiple animation and export as many as you want. We created a character, assigned a base animation and facial animations. So now it's time to continue in CRYENGINE. Next step from here, as soon as we exported our animated character, we need to import Jimmy. Place some animations in the editor, activate the blend shapes for the facial animations, and do a bit of work in the material editor. Quite a few things to do, but don't worry, I'm going to guide you through each of the steps. First, we need to drop Jimmy into our asset browser. Open the editor. You don't need to load any level first, but if you want to, go ahead. Open your asset browser and simply drag and drop your FBX into it. Now wait, this will take a minute. We have time. Let's see. With some editing magic, the FBX is imported now and all the files we need are already generated. We have our CDF, which is the character definition file and acts as our main tool for the character, where we can adjust and add attachments. We can see our skin files, which indeed are the attachments in this case. And our animations, of course a CGF file and the material. We can take a closer look by opening the character tool. Go to the Tools tab, Animation, Character tool. Let's check. We have our character definition file here. Our attachments already in the character definition file. Let's check the animation. Well, the animation looked a bit strange because we kinda don't see the cool facial animations we had before, right? It's because our skin weights are not converted to a different skinning method yet. In the scene parameters here, you should be able to see exactly which attachment skinning method needs to be changed. Change the method to CPU. And hey, look, our animation should be perfect now. So what to do next? Well, first of all, never forget to save. Never. Always save. Everywhere. I don't want to mention to you that you have to save. You have to always save everything, okay? So, okay, you probably figured it out. Let's save. Let's open an empty level, if you haven't already, in the asset browser, where our CDF file is. We drag this little icon here into our viewport. The animation still doesn't play, which is fine. We need to assign our animation to the entity first. Follow me here, it's simple. Click on this little tab and look for the animation we just generated. And of course set it on loop as soon as you got it. To get rid of the really weird and high smoothness, just double click on the material file in the asset browser. Reduce the smoothness on every and each submaterial, just to make it look a bit normal for now. Cool, but the character looks still a bit weird. Hair would look weird if he had any. The eyelashes looks weird, and of course the glossiness map is missing. Don't worry, we have to do something about it, and we will do. Again, follow me. Open the files in the Windows Explorer. You can see that the textures have TIFF files now. As I already mentioned earlier, it's something that iClone generated. We only need the single Fs. You can export any other format than TIFF, so you don't deal with this problem. Delete the ones we don't need. Okay, let's tackle the hair that our character has, which are the lashes on his eyes. And the reason why it looks this darkish is because we don't have the opacity in our diffuse texture yet. Don't worry, we can solve that problem. Open Photoshop, and in Photoshop we open the diffuse texture of our lashes. Remember I told you to keep the character creator open? Switch back to it. We want to have the opacity map, right? So double click on his head in the viewport and look for the lashes in the materials list. There we go, and here's our opacity map. Right click on it and click Launch Texture. And this texture should be open in Photoshop by now. Press Ctrl A to choose everything we see. Now copy it with Ctrl C and switch back to our diffuse texture. Go into Channels, and here you create a new alpha channel. In the alpha channel, you paste the opacity map with Ctrl V. Deselect the alpha map and select all the other ones. And we are pretty much done. You can save it now. You overwrite the main texture, and you should also automatically get albedo with generic alpha or albedo with opacity. This only means that our resource compiler automatically recognizes the opacity map in the alpha map. One thing is missing, the glossiness. Let's pick the normal map of our head material. Open it in Photoshop and quickly switch back to the character creator. Look for the head material in the material list by double-clicking on Jimmy again. Here, we're gonna pick the roughness map. Open it in Photoshop again. Do the same steps like we did before. Copy it with Ctrl A and Ctrl C and paste it into the alpha channel of the normal map. But one thing is left to do. Pick the roughness channel and press Ctrl I. We need to invert the values of a roughness map for the engine to recognize it as a gloss map within a normal map. I know, can be confusing sometimes. After doing it 3 to 4 times, you will be just fine. Let's continue our workflow in the material editor. Let's start with our lashes. Switch to hair shader. And then start adjusting the alpha test level to a state where it looks good to you. You have additional tweaks down here at the shader parameters. Play around with those values to get a feel for what they are doing. With the lashes also, I would recommend you to have a thin hair activated. This parameter allows you to have a better looking thin hair in your scene. This goes for lashes or thin beard hairs. I would also recommend you to set the shader type in every submaterial to actual skin. The human skin. It gives you some sweet shader parameters like the melanin amount, for example, and a few more. But that's for you to explore. We'll cover that in a different tutorial. And now you can also properly play with the smoothness values, since we have a proper glossiness map within our normal map. And we're done. We created a fully closed character with the base animation and facial animations. You can of course play around with the character tool to get a really cool result, and most importantly, let us know what kind of characters you came up with on our official social media channels, like Twitter and Discord, all linked in the description below. I really hope you enjoyed that little tutorial. It was a pleasure to make this tutorial for you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!